Why, hello there, lovely listeners and viewers. You are back down the red rabbit hole. What took you so long? We've been waiting for ages, and we have yet another hostage here. Hostage, kidnappee, guest. I don't know how best to describe, but I am still best-selling author NV Peacock, otherwise known as Nicky, and of course with me is Lisa Shepherd, therapist and comedian, and many other things. Lisa.
Many, many other things, including expert author kidnapper.
I think you've definitely got that level now because
Hmm.
you've
Hmm.
brought the amazing Becca Day down the red
I
rabbit hole.
have.
Becca, hey.
Hello. Oh, I can't believe I'm here. I mean, I just got whipped off of the street and, now I'm here
No, you're in the
doing an
red rabbit
interview with you
hole.
guys.
Yeah. That's all how it always happens. It takes a little bit of time to acclimatize.
Sorry
Thank you
about
for
the
having me though.
sack.
Yeah.
It's just
And
it's just a means to carry, that's all, to get people back to the rabbit
yeah,
hole. Yeah.
I could have done
Sorry
without the
about that.
blindfold though.
Oh, sorry. Little extra there, I didn't want you to know the way out. That's the
Mm.
thing. And
Ah,
to bring you in,
that's
I don't want you knowing your exits. I've got to get you to a secondary location.
yep, yep.
Secondary.
Good shout.
You do know the statistics, Becca, about secondary locations, don't you?
I do. Yes, I am a crime writer,
Yeah.
so I'm very aware of the statistics.
Well, Becca, tell us a little bit about yourself and your books.
So hello, I'm Becca, and I am the author of psychological thriller novels. They tend to be quite domestic and following families and what kind of craziness can happen within the family unit. So I have now written 5 books. Well, actually, I've written 6, but 5 published. My 5th one is coming out this month, and that is called The Secret at Number 7. And then I also wrote The Girl Beyond the Gate, All Her Little Lies, The Secrets We Buried, and The Woman in the Cabin.
So you've done a lot of research.
Yes, yes, lots of research, lots of true crime inspo across all of the books. Yeah, so but it's one of my favorite parts of the writing process as well is researching locations, researching the best way to hide a dead body, classic things that authors do. Don't check my Google history.
That's what everyone says. I think that authors are probably the worst people for Google histories.
Yes,
But we have learned
absolutely.
a lot, haven't we, Lisa? We've learned a lot about how to kill people and get away with it.
Mhm. We've got loads of tips actually of all these authors. We're going to be pretty dangerous, really.
The best ones came from ex-nurses, didn't they? Or even practicing
Yes.
nurses.
Yes. The nurses. Beware of the nurses, I reckon.
Oh,
They're
that's
the they're the ones to
scary.
watch out for.
Terrifying.
So, Becca, which book are we going to talk about today, and what true crime case inspired it?
Yes, so we're talking about the one that's out this month, so The Secret at Number 7. And when I say that the true crime case inspired it, it's not based on this true crime case at
Hmm.
all, but it's the case that kind of I saw it on the news and it sparked something, I guess.
Hmm.
It
It
sparked an idea
birthed
and I
it.
kind of went with it. It birthed the idea. Brilliant.
Hmm.
And that is the case of Natalie Bennet and Kasey Anderson. So Kasey Anderson was 24 and Natalie Bennet was 47, and she was convicted of his murder. They were in a relationship together, and the thing that actually got her convicted was Ring doorbell footage. She got caught on the Ring doorbell, and that was the thing that really sparked the idea for The Secret at Number 7. You've got a very nosy neighbor who sees something on a Ring doorbell, sees what she thinks is a murder happening on a Ring doorbell, and it's kind of what sparks from there, and all the craziness that goes on from there. Very much like what your neighbors get up to, skeletons in their closets, all of that kind of stuff.
God, imagine being that neighbor, and buying that Ring doorbell and never thinking for 1 second it's going to be used in a court case.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's weird because it gets they get used all the time in court cases. It's really, really common. I did jury service at the beginning of the year, and we saw Ring doorbell footage as part of the evidence. It's something that gets used a lot because most houses have them nowadays.
Have you got one, Lise?
We have, yeah, but it's not that brand. We got like a cheaper one.
It's
Yeah.
generic Amazon brand.
Normally, though, it's just like it's quite embarrassing for me because, say, like I come back from a run, I'll be like all puffed out and red in the face, and my husband will come on the Ring doorbell, and go, "Hello, love, how was your run?" And he talks through it. Or
Aw.
once I heard I could hear the kids talking to someone. I thought, "Oh gosh, who are they talking to out the front? Who's like trying to kidnap my kids?" And it was just my husband talking to them through the Ring doorbell. So for me, it just really means lack of privacy when I'm coming and going.
Yeah, you don't want to turn up at your front door looking really, really rough because you just know it's going to be captured.
Every day for me. I
And
have no
probably used
choice.
in a court case. That'd be my luck.
Yeah,
Like really
yeah,
rough
court
night out,
case.
like stumble up the way, and then there's something happening behind me. That's
Yeah,
Whoa.
that you're featured in court because they're trying to
Yeah.
look at the things behind you, but everyone's just watching you.
Look like it's that author NV Peacock, otherwise known as Nicky, drunk off
Yeah,
ass. Yes, probably
it's
is.
come up in loads of cases though, hasn't it? Like, because I was just having a little look. Quite famously was Sarah Everard because they were basically tracking her on the footage, weren't they? But I forgot about Brianna Jai's case as well. There was Ring doorbell footage used in that one too, of her leaving her home and heading out into the woods where the worst thing happened. And there's also one of, and I didn't know about this one, but the builder, so Peter Norgrove, entering the home of Sharon Gordon in Dudley, who was his client for some building work, and she was dissatisfied with his building work and told him so. I think this is shoddy workmanship, and he went inside and like killed her with a hammer. I didn't know
Yeah.
about that one.
He's going to get a
Gosh.
bad Yelp review, isn't he? I mean, our
Okay.
reviews aren't
I'm
great,
not
let's
booking
be
him.
honest, but no, that's not going to get him 5 stars on trader.com.
But yeah, there must have been something else going on there, mustn't there? To have like flipped that much over being told
Perhaps he just
that,
had a really
yeah.
bad day, and that was
Yeah,
just the
maybe it
straw that
was,
broke the camel's back, kind of thing.
but still. But still. I
Still,
mean, if
I have bad days quite often, and I don't go and whack people over heads with hammers.
No, but well, yeah,
I
but
Well, I
suppose
do in my
what's the,
books. I do in my
yeah.
books. I take it all out on the characters in my books.
that's why us thriller writers are the nicest people you'll ever meet because we've took all our animosity out on characters in books, and that's why we're all
Yeah, it's all on the
sweetness and light in
page.
real life.
Just with your dark little minds going into your books.
Yeah.
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 So this case then, so I looked into it, and I must admit that I know it shouldn't make me chuckle, but it did make me chuckle because every single thing highlighted the fact that she was so much older than him. Like that was
Yeah.
what had caused the whole problem. And it's like I've had
It,
loads of boyfriends that are younger than me, and I've never wanted to stab any of them to death. Well,
Yeah.
not that I've done it.
I
I mean,
think, well, I was going to say, if you flip that on the head, and if it's an older man and a younger
Mm,
girl, then it's one, sometimes in relationships it's more accessible, isn't it? If you think about celebrities, remember poor old Demi Moore got it in the neck for Ashton, was it Ashton Kutcher she went out
yeah,
with? And yeah, she got loads of like abuse for that, didn't she? But like if that was the other way round, that would be much more, it wouldn't make you laugh, it'd make you think of them as a predator.
yeah,
yeah, but I
Like,
think that's what they framed her as, and what she was really, because I mean, it was a
mm,
big age difference. She was 47. Is it 47? I think she was
I think she was
47, and
42
then
when they met and he was 19.
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So if you
Yeah,
think
so
about it, when they met,
that's
that's even worse. And the parents sort of spoke about him a lot and said about the fact that she essentially groomed him, and he was a very happy-go-lucky guy, and then he met her and just changed, and
mm.
it all went downhill. So yeah, I can kind of see why the focus is on her age, because it is, yeah, like you say, if it was the other way around, if it was a 19-year-old girl and a mid-40s
Mm.
man, then that's exactly where the focus would be, and it's not really any different, is it?
And I'm sure his dad said, or was it his sister said, she was quite like, I want you. Like she almost wasn't taking no for an answer, as
Yeah.
sort of, and even referred to him later on as like being hers. He's mine, like he was her property or something. So yeah.
Yeah. Very disturbed woman. But I
Mm,
think she was quite well known as well. Like on the street, she had a bit of a reputation. So I think he was her first murder, but definitely not the first person she's kind of got involved with in a
mm,
not normal way.
She had quite an elaborate lie going on as well, didn't she? When the police questioned her, because she said that he'd started it and he'd punched her or something, and she'd peed herself, and that's why there was
Yeah.
all the cleanup. I know, it was like that's a really good excuse, to be honest.
But she changed her story so much, which would have
Yeah.
been like damning enough anyway. But originally, she said that he just turned up at her door like that. Like someone
mm,
else had attacked him, and he just made his way to her door, and he just turned up and was all bloodied and everything. And then that story came in, and then I think she tried to spin another story about him being like abusive and a drug addict and things like that. So she kept on changing her story and kept on coming up with reasons why she wasn't guilty, which changing a story like that is going to make you look guilty anyway. But then the Ring doorbell footage just, there was no
There
arguing
was
with
no,
it.
yeah, you can't really explain that away.
No,
mm.
exactly.
And if you see it, you can probably, you can see it pretty much everywhere if you go and try and see it. They talked about in the documentary. So there's a documentary on Netflix, My Love and My Killer. It is series 3, episode 9, if anyone would like to know directly where to go. I retain that information because I needed to know directly where to go to
And
find
other
it.
streaming services are available, aren't they, Lisa? It's not just Netflix. Although we do tend to
Although it's
gravitate
only
towards it here.
it's only on Netflix if you want to watch it. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that one, My Love and My Killer, is only on there, isn't it? But in there, the lawyer who was representing the family, the prosecuting lawyer, he said the reaction to from the courtroom at the time that they played the footage, because it's really, and I think he said without that there was some evidence to support her story, because she did say, yes, I used a what did she say, she said that there's definitely a knife, and she also used something else, a screwdriver, I think. And then she said she'd washed them, maybe tying into her pee story, and they couldn't locate either of those items. And because it was behind closed doors, no one else had witnessed it, and he wasn't able to give his side of the story. She was a, I think, I'm sure, was it the dad said, or the lawyer said, if we hadn't have had that footage, she would have got away with it.
Mm.
Yeah, because you have to have that really concrete evidence. Like, again, when I did jury service, it was so eye-opening to find out just how concrete the evidence has to be. Like, even if you know in your gut this person's guilty, because it's obvious, unless you've got that concrete evidence to be able to say this person did it and this is how we can prove it, they can get away with it. Even if the whole jury agrees that that person is a killer, you've got to have that evidence. It's really, really interesting how important that is. So yeah, that's probably a positive of the Ring doorbells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the level of detail as well, because she strikes him, she stabs him when he's on the floor. But I think in the court they had to say it was a strike, because you cannot make out that she definitely makes contact at
Yeah.
that time, even though it looks pretty much like she does. But they couldn't call it. They couldn't say that she'd stabbed him again, because they couldn't make out fully on the footage whether she had or hadn't. But it's so damning when she starts calling him a rat, doesn't she? Because he's on the phone to
Mm.
the police and the ambulance trying to get help because he believes he's dying, and he's laying on the floor saying, I'm dying, and she's just strutting about, and then takes the phone like she's forgotten she's being watched, and she takes the phone, and maybe in her head she's thinking, oh, sometimes they use the 999 calls, don't they? Because on the phone she goes, oh yeah, he's here, and like her voice changes. She
Yeah.
literally goes into phone voice and starts talking to the operator at the other end. And she's literally walking around, like imagine just walking around, somebody is in pain and suffering on the floor in front of you, and you could help them, and you're just strutting around them.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
psychopathic behavior, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
complete lack of empathy. And they said that when the verdict was read out in the court, she didn't have any reaction at all. None of, not, oh my God, I'm going to prison for God knows how many years, or, like 18 years, whatever she got sentenced to. It was just like blank.
Yeah.
So,
Probably checked out.
Yeah, completely spaced and psychopathic. Yeah, it's certainly not a pretty case. I don't think there are pretty cases, but it was when I was researching it, I found it really difficult. I didn't actually watch the footage because I couldn't, but when I watched the jury service footage, when I did jury service, we had to watch it, and it was horrendous. So I think it's good that we've got them. But I wouldn't recommend people go searching for them because they can be really difficult to watch.
Yeah. I just made myself out to be a bit of a monster there. It's the fact that I watched what was shown in the documentary. I didn't watch the entire thing.
But sometimes
I
for
mean,
context, you kind of need to watch it, don't you, to understand it, and kind of you can see why evidence is so important. I mean, it's why Crime Watch got going, because most of the time the police know who's committed the crime. They just need someone to come forward and be a witness to say, yes, I know this person, and yes, I know that they were there at this particular time or something, so they can connect it with some form of evidence to get them.
That's like the original Ring doorbell, isn't it? Crime Watch. They used to do
Probably
the
the
reenactments,
reenactments.
didn't
Yeah.
they?
I'm sure
Yeah.
there was a case where there was a guy, an actor, playing like a criminal, and it actually was that guy. It was the criminal, and he was playing, basically doing the part himself. And everyone was like, "It
Yeah,
is
I
that
remember
guy.
that.
It is
Yeah.
that, yeah." And it's like, why? How arrogant does someone have to be to think they can get away with it? First of all, let alone anything else,
Oh, it's fueling the fire though, isn't it? If they've got away with it and then they get a chance to be part of the search effort and stuff, it's just fueling them because they can't admit what they've done and get some notoriety that way. It's like who was on the interviews, BBC interviews, was it BBC? But when they were interviewing people, when they were looking for the two little girls, Jessica
oh yeah,
Wells, and he did it, didn't he? And he was on the
Huntley,
foot, like, yeah,
Ian
yeah, that's
Huntley,
it. Ian
yeah, Maxine
Huntley,
Carr,
that's the one. Yeah.
yeah.
But he was on there talking about had he seen them at any point or looking for them, wasn't he? It was like, ugh.
I mean, that just takes Psycho up to the next level, doesn't it?
God.
It's just they
Yeah.
just obviously don't think through the consequences, or they're perhaps it's like a arrogance mixed with stupidity, perhaps, or the kind of double bluff of they think that they're part of the investigation, they're not going to be looked at, which is ridiculous because police always say it's someone that puts themselves in the investigation.
Yeah.
Although in saying that, there's been a couple of missing person cases where that missing person has actually joined the search for themselves and not realised they were looking for themselves, which doesn't make me chuckle as well. I know that's wrong.
Description.
Yeah.
So you have a look in the mirror, they look a lot like you, actually. Oh, okay.
Okay, where were the last scene? Oh yeah, I've been there.
I was there earlier today. I'll help. I'm sure.
That
I mean,
that kind of happens in Secret at number 7 though, because the woman sort of goes to the police with this Ring doorbell footage, and the police end up looking at her as a sort of prime suspect. So I think it's quite common for that to happen, and for the police to look at someone and say, well, you weren't involved in this case, but now you've inserted yourself into this case. So why have you done that?
oh, but if you've got some footage that you think is going to be helpful,
Yeah,
you
I
would
can't say
take
too
She
much
can't.
about why the police
Yeah.
don't believe her.
Spoiler
There is
alert.
a reason the police don't
but
believe
all the
her.
more reason to read it. viewers and listeners.
But also in terms of high profile crimes, the police are under so much pressure to get them solved that they will look at anything and everything they can.
Mm.
So it is easy to get caught up in a net that you weren't supposed to if you are innocent anyway.
Yeah, yeah, it's very easy, and yeah, they are. That I mean, my second book, All Her Little Lies, really focuses on that because we actually get the point of view of the police officer, which I don't often do, but I did it for that one, and it was very much about, we just want to get this case solved, and it can really sway an investigation. So that was an interesting one to write.
Mm. Oh, I like that.
So
That's,
Becca, do you
yeah.
think you could be in the police if, in another life kind of thing? Do you think you could investigate? Do you think you got that kind of,
I
mind
always
for it?
Yeah, I watch these shows all the time, like true crime, documentaries, and I sit there and I go, you know what, I reckon I could do this. And actually, when I did jury service, I don't want to say I enjoyed it because that's weird, because it was a murder case, but I kind of enjoyed it because I was sat there and kind of it felt like I was investigating this case and I was compiling all the evidence and I was trying to figure out in my head what had happened. And yeah, it was really interesting as a crime writer. I actually didn't think they'd let me do it because I was a crime writer,
Mm.
but they did. But yeah, it was a really interesting experience, very eye-opening. And yeah, I feel like I don't know. I don't think I would actually like to do it. I think if I spent my life in real murders, I think it would get to me. Doing it fictionally, I can kind of switch it off at the end of the day and say, okay, this is fiction. It might be, it does happen in real life, but this is fiction, and I can kind of separate it. But I think if I was constantly dealing with real bodies, real people, real families, I think it would get to me. So yeah, I don't think I would like to do it, but I think I'd be quite good at it.
I'd love to do it. It's just all the driving I couldn't do. I can't. I hate driving, so I'd need like a chauffeur. If I had like my own chauffeur, like Batman or something, like Bruce Wayne.
Partner up with one who drives. On the TV shows, there's always one who does all the driving and one who
Yeah.
does all the thinking. Isn't
Mm.
there?
And I'd be the
I mean, I'm
thinking, not the
basing all my
driver.
knowledge on that. I don't think I'll ever get called for jury duty. They'll see this. I'd like to get called for jury duty, but I think they'll be like, no, we know we've watched the podcast now.
I was called for jury duty. I was called for it, but
Oh.
every case was someone from my town, so they assumed for every case I was called, I'd know the defendant, and therefore didn't pick me as part of the jury. So I spent 2 weeks of just hanging around the courthouse, not really knowing what to do and feeling rejected.
Do you just live in a
Oh.
really dodgy area?
I kind of do. We've got a bit of a reputation, but I think, to be honest, where I live in Corby, and there is the nicest people in Corby. You're never going to find nicer
Mm.
people, but we do have a bit of a reputation around here.
I think that's the other thing you discover if you're like working with the police, because actually we hear about the big profile cases, don't we? But actually, I think probably lots of murder cases are domestic abuse, family members are things like that, and you start to make those links back to what some of those influences are for people about, finance, the kind of the places that they've grown up in, all of the kind of social aspects and things that deprived areas and things like that. And I'm not saying it is just in those areas, because it's domestic abuse is wider than that, but you probably start to see some of those similar sort of people who find themselves into these situations, and it must feel really like just soul destroying after a while. If you see, there's got often officers will talk about, won't they, the ones that stay with them, the cases
Mhm.
that stay with them. But thinking about domestic abuse, one of the things that Kasey's case really highlighted, and I think big thanks to his family for this, is that males can be victims of domestic abuse, and there is male homicide within domestic abuse cases, which is not something that's talked about very widely, and not something, we tend to think of domestic abuse very much synonymous with women and men abusing women, but there's plenty of, well, I had the statistics actually. I love a
Oh, you
stat,
are.
Nick.
Yes.
I do love a
Yes.
stat. So I went and looked it up actually, and interestingly, I went to Refuge initially because I thought, well, they'll be a good source for a statistic, and actually, all of their statistics talk about women. Now, I kind of understand where that comes from, perhaps, as they are a charity for women. And actually, I wonder if you can provide support for both genders, because often I know they do things like they'll specifically hire women rather than men because to keep the women who are coming to them for support
Feel
safe.
comfortable.
But how would a man feel?
Yeah.
The stigma I think attached for a man is one of the biggest barriers to them seeking support. But I looked it up. So an estimated 1.6 million women age 16 and over experienced domestic abuse in the last year. So that's a huge figure. For men, it's 712,000. So it's not
Still
a
a
small
huge.
figure, is it? So
Yeah.
it's 6.6% of women, but 3% of men. So I think in my mind it was like maybe 1 in 5, like a really small number, but actually half.
Yeah, but the other thing is those are reported cases. How many
Yeah.
men will
Mm,
not have come forward because there is that stigma attached, and how many men will say, they'll just deal with it because they don't want to admit that they're being abused. So it's probably a much higher number than that.
and
I
particularly someone like Casey as a young man,
Mm.
he was
yeah. But
19,
that's why I
20.
think everywhere was talking about the age gap,
Mm,
was kind of showing the how I guess how it can happen. But in terms of like male domestic abuse, there's a lot of abuse that perhaps goes on that isn't physical as well that needs to be put
mm.
into some kind of statistic too. Because I don't think we're educated enough, especially in this country, to kind of identify like emotional and mental abuse in any kind of relationship, let alone a romantic one.
Yeah.
Well, they've got a chart. So I got this from the Ombudsman. To look. Yeah, when I went, no, did I? Where did I go? Where did I go to get this? Oh, this census. No, it's not census. It's it, government one. It's the main one I went to. But they've got a chart where they're looking at the different rates and they've color coded it. And actually, one of the rates where male and female figures, there's not as much distance between them. They're a bit closer together in terms of figure, is family abuse.
Mm,
So all is 1.9, but women 2.5 and men 1.3. So we often think of it as domestic relationship being a relationship partnership, but actually within families.
yeah. And it can leave, I guess, a victim mentality as well that leaves them open to other relationships that do the same.
Mm, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it often happens more than once, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, to the same people.
Well, listeners, on that depressing note, we're going to end this episode and we're going to keep Becca, as we tend to do with
I
all
do
our
that
authors.
best, don't I? I always go, hang on, are we
Bring the mood down.
closing? Let's see if I can bring the
Shove
mood
in a really
down.
depressing
Yeah, let's
statistic
talk
and that.
about some really awful statistics. They're not, well, they're just, statistics are always a bit awful, aren't
Even
they?
one
Unless
is an
they're
awful statistic for any kind of
Yeah,
abuse, regardless of
exactly.
gender or age or anything like that. So,
Absolutely.
but yeah. Okay, so Becca's going to send us some links, so they're going to be in the show notes for her books, so you can buy her books and discover the secrets and why that poor lady was looked at really for bringing her evidence forward to the police, which we can't talk about spoilers on here, but yes, you can discover that yourself. And we're going to keep Becca for a week, and next week we're going to be talking about the ring cameras and a little bit more information about them and what we kind of feel about them being used in evidence in court and in crimes and all sorts of loveliness.
Thank you.
So right, didn't really do much, but okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, do remember to follow the Red Rabbit wherever you get your socials. We're on TikTok, where we've gone viral several times thanks to Lisa's Hamilton and her
We
her
haven't
cat
gone viral
segment
7 times.
several times. Several can be just more
We've
than
got
one.
one. We've got one with about we've sort of quite a few views,
Yeah. Are you
nearly
gonna
2,000
are
likes.
you gonna dress as your Hamilton character for Halloween?
I don't think I can bring. That's the thing with a viral trend. Once it's gone, it's gone. You gotta let it
Oh,
go. You gotta move
I don't think
on.
I can let that go.
Can't
You looked good
can't
in a tash.
continue. You can't continue trying to make that glory. I'm just waiting for the next one I can jump on. The next one, which where skills can meet. When they do the dancing, they're too good at dancing, and I'm like, I can't do that dance. I'm like, I don't know how to do that one.
Can it do it with the cat while it's sleeping? And then combine like two videos.
Yeah. I'm kind of enjoying that my elderly cat's getting like a new lease of life. Like she's getting love on the internet.
Oh.
In her aging, in her twilight years.
Well, we promise to keep Becca in good health, so we will see you all next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.